Most leaders want to be Superman, flying in to save the day. But the real superpower in leadership is not Superman at all. It's Clark Kent. You see, that quiet, reflective guy who knows exactly who he is and what he isn't. That's the true leader that we all should aspire to be. I know for me, the most important lessons that I've learned about leadership, they didn't happen in a classroom. They happened in the quiet moment, staring into a mirror or hearing a hard truth from someone I trusted. And for those who don't know me, I think I have a little bit to say about leadership, not only because of my job, because of my life. I'm Tyree, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm a leader who's made more than my share of mistakes. And now I want to share those lessons that I picked up along the way to help you. So today's call is about why self-awareness is the most underrated superpower in leadership and why it works from every arena, from a sports team, to a military company, to a Fortune 500 brand. Point number one, true power starts with a mirror. I know a thing or two about leadership. And that's not trying to brag, but it's because I've been also surrounded by some of the most incredible leaders in the world. I just finished up commanding a company within the 75th Ranger Regiment. For those outside of the military community, you may recognize this as the unit from the movie Black Hawk Down. But those inside understand that this is the premier raid force in the entire Department of Defense. And in that organization, I was surrounded by some of the greatest leaders I've ever seen. Now, to get to this point, every leader in the Ranger Regiment has to have a Ranger tab. Now, to get your Ranger tab, this is a grueling course, anywhere from 62 days or longer, where you go without food, you go without sleep, you go through very stressful conditions. My first time going through Ranger school, I failed. So I did my second time. And not only did I fail, but during one of those times, my peers also gave me some really tough feedback about how I didn't perform to the standard. I could have taken that moment and blamed them and blamed the situation. That was an incredible moment for me. Because honestly, self-awareness costs nothing but a willingness to see the truth. And when I looked at that and I looked at their feedback, I realized, hey, there's a lot that I need to work on. And from that, I use that information to be a better officer. I use it to be a better person. And then I use it to be a better leader. And when I went back to Ranger School, not only was I able to pass because of receiving those hard truths, but I was able to perform at the top of my class because I took that moment to have that self-awareness. There's a scripture that says, "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts." That comes from Psalms 139:23. You gotta be able to ask yourself those hard questions, and you gotta be able to receive that feedback. Many times leaders are given this opportunity, but they let it bounce off. And anytime you're given the opportunity to learn from a lesson, from a heartbreak, it's up to you. Is that just gonna be a memory that you're gonna blame on other people? Or are you gonna take that to improve yourself, to make it better for yourself and your subordinates in the future? Point number two, feedback sharpens what the mirror shows. Like most leaders, they think self-awareness is a solo act, that if you reflect enough, you'll see the truth. But the reality is we're all blind to parts of ourselves. So you got to create a system to give you that feedback. So like I mentioned in Ranger School, I had a framework in which they had a peer system so I could read some of the feedback about myself. But no matter what kind of leader you are, you need to find ways to ask for feedback in your organization. If you're a team captain or you want to be a team captain on a sports team, I'd encourage you to ask the people above you, hey, what do you see in me that I can grow more in? Ask your coaches, hey, how can I be a better athlete? And ask the people who are younger, the underclassmen, hey, what is it that you see in me that I can do a better job to make your life better, to make your life easier? You have to create feedback loops. I encourage you too, if you're in a corporate world, to create some kind of system where you can get some anonymous data as well. Because you have to understand as a leader, there is a certain hierarchy, and the people who work underneath you are gonna have a sometimes harder time coming forward with you, especially if you're not a leader who is approachable. Think through how you're receiving that feedback. A couple methods that I think have worked really well that I've seen. Create a survey online, like SurveyMonkey. That's a free way, that's gonna be a tech way, especially if you have a large organization or you have people spread about. But if you're just like a regular person, I think another good way is just an index card system. So if you're leading a team, just say, hey, guys, I really wanna be better, and show them that you truly do care. And just say, hey, I'm gonna leave a box, leave an index card here, throw them in there, boom. Or maybe you have a trusted leader collect all of the information and you have one person who can give you that information. Regardless of the way that you go about it, it is important for you to find a way to receive some of that feedback so that you can grow as a leader and not only look at you, what you see in the mirror, but see some of those blind spots that kind of out of the way. Point three, vulnerability builds unshakable trust. And I'm gonna give you two examples that show you that vulnerability is actually a superpower in itself that goes along with self-awareness. So an example that I got to see was, we had an organizational meeting where we were getting some leader professional development, and it was leaders from all across the organization, all the way down to the youngest employees to our most senior leader who was in charge, which is our battalion commander. And they asked us something that we were scared about, which is just kind of a weird question to ask, especially a bunch of, macho men and leaders within an organization. And our commander stood up and said that he felt a sense of imposter syndrome. On the outside, if you're a leader, sometimes you may be afraid to admit that you're scared. You may be afraid to admit your weaknesses. But I'm gonna tell you, when our leader stood up and told us that he felt that, and he explained why he felt it, we didn't look at him less. We respected him so much more because we saw him as a human. We saw him as someone who was going through some of the same issues that we were going through in ourselves. And he set the stage that made it more acceptable for us to bring forth some of our own issues. I'll give you another example, and maybe I'm wrong, but earlier in this video, I talked to you about my failures. I talked about failing Ranger School multiple times. I talked about my peers not saying the greatest things about me. And I'd ask you, did you think weak of or less of me because of that? If you did, you probably already clicked off the video. But if you're here right now, something about that maybe made you connect to me more, made you feel that I'm being honest and being transparent, because it's true. Vulnerability allows you to build trust because it shows that you don't have anything to hide. When leaders openly explain their strengths and their gaps, it invites the team to bring their best without fear. I love this scripture from 2 Corinthians, but he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Not my power is made perfect in strength, but in weakness. We have to understand that we all have weaknesses. That's okay. Trying to act like you don't have weaknesses is the easiest way to lose the trust of your team. But you have to have that self-awareness to say, hey, these are the things I'm good at, and these are the things where I'm weak at and I need your help. And that's what's gonna make you the most efficient, the most powerful, and the most impactful leader that you can be. And the last point I wanna make is this works in every arena, from a sports team to a military company to Fortune 500 CEOs. See, self-awareness is context proof. It fuels trust, adaptability, and long-term performance anywhere that humans work together. There's a famous business teacher, psychologist, coach named Peter Drucker, and he says that you cannot manage other people unless you manage yourself first. He didn't mention where that applies because it applies everywhere. I tell you, think about your parents. When your parents express weakness, when they express self-awareness, did it make you love them more or make you love them less? Think about your partner. Whoever you're dating explains, hey, I hate X. I dislike this. I am not good at this. It doesn't make you view them less. It makes you respect them more because now you understand the clear boundaries. And you as a leader have to do the same thing. Create a clear understanding for your subordinates, whether that be your children, whether that be your spouse, whether that be the organization that you're trying to lead, to help them understand what are your weaknesses, what are your blind spots, so they can be the best that they can be, and you can be the best leader that you can be. If you've gotten something valuable from this call so far, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button. I'm not a big fan of asking, but here's the truth. It helps the channel reach other leaders who need to learn from this exact same message. That's what it's all about. It's not about algorithms, it's not about growth. It's about helping others. So let's get back into it. So as we wrap up, I want to give you a quick recap to make sure you track in all the steps to being the best leader that you can be. 1, remember, self-awareness starts with a mirror. Before you can ask for feedback, before you should be able to give feedback, you have to understand yourself and be aware. The second thing is you have to understand you have blind spots. So 2, feedback sharpens that reflection. Figure out ways in your organization to receive that feedback, whether it be your family, whether it be your team, whether it be the organization you lead. You have to find out creative ways to receive that feedback and build enough trust that people are going to give you accurate and honest information. The next thing is to remember, vulnerability builds trust. Be open, explain your weaknesses, explain your strengths. And when you're vulnerable with your team, they'll be vulnerable with you, and it'll help you see some of the blind spots in your organization and how you can best apply pressure to help everyone out. And remember that this is going to work in any leadership arena, whether it be church, whether it be the road, whether it be a gas station, whether it be a sports team. Anywhere you go, these steps are going to help you be the best leader that you can be. I pray this helps you wherever you lead next. And if you want to continue the call, check out the next message that's right here. But never forget your calling and never forget who called you. God bless and peace.